Friday, 18 February, The Gap News This Morning, broadcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, I'm Ghazali Abdullah. First, the headlines. No quarantine for healthcare workers who are close contacts, says KJ. Daily COVID-19 numbers won't be released on its own anymore. Singapore President suspends execution of duo. MDA to probe into reports of false negatives from RTK-AG self-test kits. Simon Nellis, Sydney shark victim, named locally as British man. No other path than NATO for Ukraine. And Indonesia replaces Vietnam as ASEAN Para Games hosts. And now the news in full. Healthcare workers who are close contacts of COVID-19 patients no longer need to be quarantined. A circular has been issued by the Health Director General, Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah, whereby healthcare workers who are close contacts but who don't display any symptoms do not need to isolate. Health Minister Hairi Jamaluddin said at a press conference. They will need to undergo tests on certain days. Noting the number of close contacts and the impact the isolation had on work processes and the economy, Hairi said the same protocol may soon be applied for the general public. However, he would be making an announcement on the matter next week. Data on daily COVID-19 numbers will no longer be released separately every afternoon, said Health Minister Hairi Jamaluddin. Instead, the number of new cases will be released along with data for other categories, such as bed utilization, the number of patients in intensive care, and the number of patients requiring respiratory assistance. The move is effective tomorrow, with Friday's daily case numbers only to be released on Saturday morning. Hairi said the move was in line with international norms. Singapore President Halimah Yacob today suspended the execution of two men convicted of drug trafficking in 2010. The two men, Malaysian Pausi Jeffrey Din and Singaporean Roslan Bakar, were supposed to be executed Tuesday. In a Facebook post, lawyer M. Rabi revealed letters from the Republic's prison service informing the family of the two men that Halimah had ordered a respite of their execution. The Health Ministry has instructed the Medical Device Authority of Malaysia, MDA, to summon all suppliers of currently available RTK-AG COVID-19 self-test kits to establish the issue behind several false negatives reported by users. The Health Minister said this as there have been several reports received by his ministry concerning users who are known to be COVID-19 positive but still tested negative on some brands of the rapid test kits. He said discussions with MDA have since been held following the complaints to evaluate the possible reasons behind the inaccurate readings and make sure quality control measures are being followed by the manufacturers. Thank you for being with us in this podcast group. You are listening to The Gap News, coming to you from Kuala Lumpur with reports from Free Malaysia Today, The Vibes and the BBC World Service. The Gap News is also available on the internet news portal Melaka Hari Ini. More to come, news from the international front. A 35-year-old British man has been named as the victim of Sydney's first fatal shark attack in nearly 60 years. A friend confirmed Simon Nellis died in the attack on Wednesday. Police have not yet formally identified the victim and his family have not commented. Australian authorities are still searching for the great white shark, with swimmers banned from the water and most city beaches shut after Wednesday's attack. Mr. Nellis, who was a diving instructor, was mauled by a great white shark just off Little Bay in East Sydney. He was a member of the city's scuba diving social club and a regular swimmer at the beach, BBC Sydney correspondent Shaima Halil reports. Shark attacks in Sydney are uncommon because the city has long had nets and other deterrents in its waters. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky tells the BBC that joining the NATO Defence Alliance would guarantee his country's security. He admits it won't be easy for Ukraine to join, but says there is no other path for his country. Russia is fiercely opposed to Ukraine ever joining NATO and wants guarantees from Western powers this won't happen. It denies plans to invade Ukraine and says some of the 100,000 troops amassed at the border are leaving after military drills. But UK Foreign Secretary Liz Truss warns the West should not be fooled by Russia's claims. A senior U.S. official says 7,000 extra Russian troops have arrived at Ukraine's borders in recent days. The official also said that Russia could launch a false pretext to invade Ukraine at any moment. And now for some sports news. Indonesia is set to host the 11th ASEAN Para Games in July after the ASEAN Para Sports Federation approved their bid to hold the Games in the city of Solo. Solo will replace Hanoi, which was originally the host for the 11th edition of the Games, but withdrew last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Games is scheduled to take place from July 23rd to 30th, with venues concentrated in Solo and its vicinity. Solo had previously hosted the 6th edition of the ASEAN Para Games in 2011, where 11 sports were contested. The declaration of Solo as host city of the ASEAN Para Games 2022 was officially announced at the virtual 26th Board of Governors meeting Wednesday. To end the bulletin, here are the headlines again. No quarantine for healthcare workers who are close contacts, says KJ. Daily COVID-19 numbers won't be released on its own anymore. Singapore President suspends execution of duo. MDA to probe into reports of false negatives from RTK AG self-test kits. Simon Nellis, Sydney shark victim named locally as British man. No other part than NATO for Ukraine. And Indonesia replaces Vietnam as ASEAN Para Games host. This has been the Gap News this morning, Friday, 18 February. Broadcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, I'm Ghazali Abdullah.